Peace, everyone. It is the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com. I had the pleasure and the honor to interview the filmmaker, director, screenwriter, cinematographer, colorist, and creator of the web series Juju. So sit back, relax, be sure to take heed to some of the nuggets she provided, and go support this show as well with the web series Juju. It's on YouTube right now. Utilize the links in the description to donate and support this movement that these guys have got going on, man. This is an amazing story, and a lot of nuggets and a lot of jewels drop. So let's just start with how we got to now, you know, the web series Juju, and what created it. Like, what was the actual steps taken to create a web series of such magnitude?
I created my first film project outside of film school when I left, which is called Mental, which is a 3-part short film series about Caribbean American people struggling with mental health illnesses, and like how it's, you know, how we deal with it, how we, you know, sweep it under the rug. And then I moved up here to New York, and Juju popped up in my head.
It just popped up in your head just out of nowhere.
It wasn't out of nowhere. So the transition from, you know, I'm from South Florida, so I'm from Fort Lauderdale. So like all I know is palm trees, beach, and sunshine. So when I moved to New York, I moved in November, and it was a complete like flip, where it was super cold and gray skies and overcast, and just, you know, it was no greenery. You know, the trees were bare. The you know, in Florida, the houses are colorful. The houses here are like brown. So I was just, I'm around color so much. So when I came up here, it was really hard for me to adapt. And like the seasonal depression like hit me hard. And I couldn't find a job. It was hard to find a job. So it was like a lot of things going on. So all I was doing was just binge watching shows, eating bonbons, staying inside, because it was like my Florida blood could just not take the cold, and just couldn't be bothered to put on all these clothes, all these layers. So I had started the Vampire Diaries in Florida already, so I decided to finish it. It was, I think it's 7 or 8 seasons. So I decided to just, let me just finish it off. And I was also trying to figure out what my next move would be, like my next project. And I was battling on, because if you get caught up with like festivals, and you get caught up with like social media and like the films people are making and the films you see on video, is like the films that Sundance are showing and picking up, and like South by Southwest. When you get caught up in that, it's like I was really trying to figure out like what should next story or film should be. So I was like trying to think of some artsy fartsy, super deep trauma porn, you know, digging into my past and type stuff. But I also kind of I wasn't ready to write about what I've been through, you know, through childhood as a woman, as a mother, as a single mother. So I wasn't really ready to I didn't care to do that. But I saw like those were the things that were being recognized. But I wasn't ready to write nothing like that. So I was just stuck. I didn't know what story to tell. So I was watching Vampire Diaries, and they have a black witch, Bonnie, and she's one of the main characters, but she's solely just there to clean up everyone's bullshit mess that they created for themselves.
Okay.
And so, you know, her being the only black witch really is like you get excited. And I've always just loved witches in general. Like I've loved Teen Witch, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like anything supernatural I love. I read Harry Potter and Anne Rice's vampire novels and stuff. So when I saw her, I was like, oh, okay, we have a black witch, blah, blah, blah. but she was really just there as a tool to she didn't really have her own storyline. Everything she ever loved was taken from her. She can't keep a man, and that was because they killed them off. She has no family members because they killed mom, dad, grandma. So it was like they put her through a lot. So like at the end of the series, when the series finale, everyone basically got to be with their loved ones, and they got everything they wanted, you know, even if it just came back to them from like prior seasons, and like they just sent Bonnie home on a road trip. And I was just so upset. Like, wow. You would have thought it was a real person. Like, I was serious. I was irate. It could have been the depression kicking in. It could have been my own frustration of not finding a job. But I was like pissed off. And I was texting my best friends because they watched it also. And I was like, can I curse?
You can curse.
I was like, how the fuck? I'm like, why would they do this to her? I'm like, oh my God, they took away everybody she loved and they just gonna send her on a road trip. I was pissed off. So, and then my boyfriend, he was like, well, why don't you write a film about witches?
Right.
And I was like, wow. And that's literally how it was. So it was just sitting in my head all day for weeks. And that kind of pulled me, that geared me to like get out the house and go to the library and like research and stuff. And then I just started researching different things, and it was supposed to just be a short film about one witch. And then I was like, that's no fun. And I said I had too much of a story to tell. And then I incorporated two more witches because it's just, I kind of split them up, split myself up in 3 parts.
Gotcha.
So the 3 witches are me as a person, like they're 3 parts of me.
Dope.
So yeah,
dope.
That's that.
Dope, man. And it's a wonderful series. If anybody hasn't had a chance to watch it, it's Juju on YouTube. How did you actually create your team?
So I basically, before I even brought this idea to people outside my house.
Right.
At first, my best friend, she's on the team. She went to Miami School also as well. And her name is Belle Brooks. And she handles our social media. So our social media is all her. And she directed and wrote. It's called 5, so that will come out in January. So I was just telling her, she's my person I just bounce ideas off, and we like the same shows. She watched Vampire Diaries, True Blood, and all that stuff. So I was just kind of like, hey girl, like, what if I blah, 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 blah. So she, of course, being the best friend she is, she boosted it up. She was like, yeah, go ahead. So I was, before I even could bring it to anyone else, I wanted to make sure that I knew the story, at least at the tip of the iceberg type thing, at surface level, because you can always just dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper.
Oh, no.
But as surface level, I'm like, okay, there are 3 witches, but what? You know, what are their conflicts? Like, what are they going to be doing? And where they come from? Who are their parents? Who are their personalities? I can't just say, oh, it's a show about 3 witches. Like, I needed to know what the hell I was presenting. So I did like 3-4 months of research. This became my full-time job. So I was like in the library 8 hours of the day, researching, writing, beating out plot points, creating their history, their backstory, storylines for their parents, for their sisters, for their siblings, for when they were in college, for when they were kids. Creating their birthdays and birth charts and zodiac signs and tailoring their personalities towards it, and their conflicts and their trauma that they went through, and why they act the way they act, and why this one can't commit to a relationship. It's because of this, and why this one puts herself out there like this and still get hurt is because of this, and why this one is anxiety ridden is, because of this. So it's like I had to really like sit down and like have those details out, so that when it was time for me to present it, so I could be like, here, this is what it is. These are the girls. because I knew that I wouldn't be able to pay anyone because unemployed.
Right.
So I was like, if I could make this shit sound like the best shit ever, I can get people on board. So I knew I wanted different writers. I knew I didn't want to write it myself. I really I'm as an artist, I'm very, very collaborative because I like the idea of bouncing ideas. I like someone pulling another idea out of my head, and like helping me flesh out an idea or like a story. Because I know if I do it myself, some things are still going to be stuck inside. So I like to be able to work in a team where we can bounce ideas and I can have that aha moment, like, oh, okay, this is what it is. So, and then I wanted the girls to sound different. I didn't want them to sound the same. I didn't want them to act the same. So I know that if I was to write all three of them, eventually they will sound the same. So in the writer's room, I'm in charge of Gigi. Kiara is in charge. She's our casting director and also a writer and a producer. She's in charge of Allie. Janeen, who is our visual effects artist, writer, director, and production designer. She's in charge of Yaya. And then we have our other writers, Belle. She's in charge of just making sure there's no loopholes and make sure everything makes sense, make sure they're aligned, and in charge of Ada as well. So doing that also helps us close holes in the story. So when I had everything, I had the bare bones and the character profiles, I went out looking for a writer's team through Twitter and social media, and that's how I found the writers.
Is the whole show done and you're just putting it out? Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, we shot the whole season. We wrote the episodes last year. So everyone we had time to really sit down and comb through it and tighten it up. So we wrote the episodes in 2018 with intentions to shoot in 2018, but the universe was like, girl, you're asking for a lot. And basically the universe didn't want me to compromise my quality. So I listened. So, and then we shot this summer. So we shot from July, excuse me, the pilot was shot in March. So that we can use it to help gain funds through Kickstarter. And then the rest of the series, the next 6 episodes was shot in the summer between July 21st and September 8th.
Dope. And so Kickstarter helped out a lot?
Oh yeah, it helped out. It got us what we needed. It got equipment,
awesome,
locations, wardrobes, and stuff like that.
That's dope. So I just got a couple questions for you. You've given so much valuable information already. Say I'm just a guy or a girl and I got a story like you. What would be your advice?
I would say if you just have the vision and the idea, I would just say write the script, beat it out, and beat it out meaning brainstorm, write. The thing is with what I will say, with a lot of creatives or filmmakers, they want their stories to not be like something. So they'll be like, oh, well, it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be like that. But that's how you create your story. So for me, I say it's Charmed and Insecure. And I reference True Blood. I reference shots from Vampire Diaries. I reference shots from I reference storylines from Charmed. I reference, it's stuff like that.
Yeah,
the story.
No doubt.
So you can't be too proud to say that your story isn't something else that's going to be out, because that's how you get the idea and you make it your own. So I will say, if you have an idea, vision for a type of film or project, watch whatever it may line with. If it's a thriller, watch thrillers. If it's something, action, watch action. Watch a lot of the genre that you're trying to make. You can't create content without watching content. and, you know, create mood boards and lookbooks. It kind of helps you stay in line with the tone and the theme and how you want it to look. And just figure it out. Have everything, you know, at least a lookbook. Well, I like lookbooks because I know a lot of people are visual and sometimes they can't really see it in their heads until you show a lookbook. So I had a lookbook as well. It's like, okay, this is what I want it to look like. This is the idea that I'm going for. Mm-hmm. This is the color grading I'm looking at, type stuff. So yeah, beat it out, watch content, write your script, create a mood board to how you want it to look, feel. And yeah, once you have all that, then present it to, when you're looking for your team, present it to your team and make it seem like it's the best thing. You have to make it. This is a trick I learned. Well, a tip I learned while I was crowdfunding from this crowdfunding expert that helped me out. You have to make it seem like people are missing out. So, and then it's your energy behind it also. Like if they don't hear that passion in your voice, or if they don't feel it in your aura, then they're going to be like, oh, okay, like, you know, what is this? Like, why should I use my time to help you?
No doubt. So I was hearing something a couple of days ago about immersing yourself in something if you want it to benefit you in a certain fashion. Is it fair to say that you immersed yourself in all things Juju for a particular point in time, like complete immersion, or did you divvy your time up?
And right now I'm immersed because I'm handling post-production myself. So I edit. So I edited the second episode. I didn't edit last night's episode. I edited this episode that's coming out tonight. So Fabian Lee is my editing name. So right now, because I'm immersed into it, I'm editing it, I'm more immersed into it while also preparing for next season right now as well. So last year it was like bits and pieces. When I took my breaks, when things weren't going my way, but I figured that it was just time for me to kind of like break away from it. So there was a time where I just put everything Juju down and just kind of like read up on marketing and read other stories or binge watch something or help people on their projects and stuff like that. So I think it's really good to take a break from it. Sweet. You know, being immersed in your project sounds good and it sounds, you know, noble and stuff. But like sometimes I will say, like, it gets to a point where I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could be working on something else. So, it's a balance. You have to balance it out. For sure.
That's excellent advice. What is the Sufi element within Juju? Could you explain that to people?
As far as Sufism, well, I wouldn't say Sufism. I would just say like is magic in general across the diaspora. So right now, because it's just season 1, right now we're just introducing the witches and like their active powers. And I always tell people like, yes, you know, Juju is a story it's magical realism. So like even there, though we touch on like the truth about Santeria, the truth about voodoo, the truth about Obia, and like different forms of spiritual African traditional religions and stuff like that, it's still entertainment.
Right.
So there's still going to be some fictional elements like, you know, mind control or, well, mind control is not fictional, but like, you know,
I get you.
Making it like no one can make it rain, like, you know, like stuff like that, or like touching a flower and it dies. Like it's still there's still the fun fantasy element of it all, but we do touch on. It's basically to show a light in our different cultures and religions that we were brought on. You know, me being Jamaican. I'm in Cuban. I know about Santeria and Obia and the similarities between that and Catholicism and Christianity. So I touch on that as well, of the parallels that run alongside spiritualism and religion, and like how they're kind of two in the same. So it's basically it's I would say it's a history lesson
for sure.
Because we, like I said, we dive into it. Next season we're hoping to, you know, have episodes outside of New York. So what was the question again? I felt like I strayed away.
No, you kind of answered it in a way that it needed to be answered. I was just trying to tap into certain spiritual elements, but then you tied into like it's entertainment as well, because it's not like if I throw a shoe in the air that it's going to get stuck.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to just do the physics thing. So it was just a really enlightening conversation and a helpful conversation for me, and I just appreciate and value your time. How would anyone, if they want to support this movement, support you, support the show, Kickstarter, where would a person start? Like, what's the first step into supporting this show or supporting you moving forward?
Well, right now you can go, if you want to donate, you can go to we're always taking donations.
For sure.
It helps us out with, like, we were able to get a sound editor. It helps us out with, like, lunch on our 12-hour editing days, little stuff like that.
No doubt.
And softwares, like, you know, subscriptions, post-production subscription softwares. So JUJUWebseries.com, and you will see a PayPal link, a button that says donate right up the top. You can donate to our PayPal. You can donate through Cash App at cash.me/ $$ WildBoEnt. I can send that to you so you can have it.
For sure, please.
So yeah, JUJUWebseries.com. Then we have our Instagram, Juju Web Series, Twitter, Juju Web Series, Facebook, Juju Web Series. And just basically get us the views that we need, so that we can get noticed, and, you know, the goal is to get picked up.
No doubt.
We are prepping for our next crowdfunding campaign for season 2, which will launch next month after the finale episode. So when you go to the website, you can also subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll, like, you know, keep you up to date with everything that's going on.